do nothing, neither. They don't recognize it, nor do they not recognize it. So, and this is not just one government. We've gone through a few governments now that have decided to come firmly down the middle of the road and do nothing.
Correct. The thing is that the government is sitting on the fence, but now, the only way to do it is public opinion and public pressure. With the book, and you can get the book, as a matter of fact, it's just the beginning. And like Hank says, there are many stories. Now, the book is called Birdie, the Saga of Nigger Rock. You can get it either through Townshippers or at the Bishop's University bookstore.
And I would encourage you to get it from the Bishop's University bookstore. That's where we got our copy, and I intend to pick up another. So I'm just putting a plug in there for you. Sorry.
Good. That's good. That's good. And also there, for people who don't live this close, there's the Knowlton bookstore and the one in Sutton. But just to say, the next thing that we're going to do, and just to let you know, the reason for the story was I saw this poster that Hank and some of the people had made concerning Nigger Rock, and it really hit me real hard, and that inspired me to write the story. And the poster is still out there and it exists. Now the thing is that the next books that we're going to be putting out on the market after we sell the ones that we have now, I've decided that we're going to design a postcard which is going to be sent to the Minister of Culture in Ottawa, no postage required, to put some pressure on him or her. Changes quite often, as a matter of fact, with this government, so that maybe something will be done. And I think that the government should do something, whatever is fair. I understand it's the Benoits, they own the land and it's their land, they can do what they want. But if we want to be fair, I think the government should compromise with them maybe and do something, whatever is fair, whether they have to offer the money or however they do it. They shouldn't take the land away from them, absolutely not. But something that both sides can come to terms with. And the thing that's most important, that these people that are buried there, regardless of their color, need to rest in peace.
Be recognized as part of resting in peace, and a very big part of it. Also, justice delayed is justice denied in my book, and this has been going on a very long time. You said that you saw a poster that had such an impact on you that you couldn't put it out of your mind. If you could describe why?
Absolutely. This poster here was a painting, basically. What it had, it was what I assumed was Philip Luke on his horse. In the background, there was a bunch of black people that were pulling out stumps out of the ground. And on the foreground, there was a lady, a black lady with a kerchief around her head. And she had sort of like a very tired and serious look about herself. And it really described the scene. Now, what you have to understand, I had no idea. They were creating potash, and I had no idea what potash was. But what it is you cut certain kind of trees, you got to burn them, you got to collect the white ash, you got to do something with water in it. It's a whole process. And then they had to get rid of the stumps. I mean, these people worked, our expression is you work like a slave. They actually did. They worked real hard for the little bit of recognition that they got, which was, some food that they grew themselves, clothes, and a roof over their head. And, to me, I don't think that that's freedom. And today, I could still hear the spirits, saying, when is it that we will ever be free?
So we're talking about human beings pulling stumps out of the ground, working at the sweat of their brow, just for the food that keeps them alive and a little bit of a roof over their head. We're not talking about the south of Georgia. We're talking about the eastern townships, right here in the township Saint-Amand, right here within the townships where there were slaves and there were slave owners. So it's a very important subject. It's a book that I encourage everyone to come to the Bishop's University bookstore and pick up a copy and find out. Because if history isn't respected, then how can we expect anything we do today to be worthwhile? Because 100 years from now, what difference will it make? So that's why history is so important, and that's why it's so important that we recognize this fact. And when we hear about slavery in the south of the United States and how deplorable it was and what terrible things, well, also it existed here. I think, and I'm not certain, you can correct me on this, or perhaps not, depends, that how slavery came to the region was when the United Empire Loyalists came up from the United States. Many of them were slave owners, brought their slaves with them, and so brought slavery into the townships. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Philip Luke came up and he had inherited some slaves, and then later on those slaves were inherited by his son Jacob. And even though during that whole period, they did become free on paper because the king had declared that there were to be no more slaves in the British colonies. And in Britain, like I said before, they had no education, no place to go, so they were basically stuck to the land. But what's important is that not only are they not free, but as long as we don't admit and we don't do something about this whole thing, we can never be free, none of us, and there's an expression that says the truth will set us free. And I think that we have to put out the truth. We've got to do justice. We've got to have these people be recognized. And then not only they, but we, all of us, can be free.
In which way does it imprison us to not acknowledge this?
Well, the fact of the matter is it's a burden that we've inherited through our ancestors. And, no matter how often we deny it, it will still be there unless we do something about it. I know those were the times, and we can't change what happened then. We've got to just acknowledge it and say, it was bad. We're not going to repeat the same thing. And, when we meet a person on the street, regardless of his color, creed, what he wears on his head, long hair, short hair, we could smile and say, hello, good day, and lend them a helping hand if we have to.
In order to be able to look someone straight in the eye and say, I did the best I could to make right what I know what's wrong.
Correct.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. And as you mentioned, Hank Avery has been working very long and hard at this. I know a lot of other people have as well. It's Saint-Amand right here in the eastern townships of Quebec. And the book, could you give us the title of the book again?
The book is called Birdie, the Saga of Nigger Rock. And throughout the whole book and some of the posters we put, please help us make Birdie proud. Read the book. And it's not about selling books. It's not about making money with the books. What the issue is getting this place recognized as an historical site. If we can do that, then nothing else matters.
And the book is available at the Bishop's University bookstore or at the bookstore in Knowlton. So there you go. You're listening to CJMQ 88.9 FM. We hope to have more updates on this story and to keep following it as it hopefully progresses, and also to be inviting government officials to listen to this interview and others that we'll be doing in the future. And we would be more than happy to help with a drive to send some letters into the government to help to make them realize just how important this is to us as a community. And I thank you very much for being with us today here on CJMQ and for helping to educate us on this very important and sad, but also a very encouraging story, because the encouragement comes from the fact that we can do something to help make, at least set right, the present day perceptions that we have of ourselves and our history and our community.
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't cost a hell of a lot of money just to go there or just to pressure the government, and please do help make Birdie proud. And I think that all of us will sleep better in the years to come.
Now, you've mentioned Birdie a few times. I don't recall if during the interview we actually stated who Birdie was.
Well, you'll have to read the book.
Oh, okay, I get you now.
No, because otherwise, if you don't read the book, then you don't get the feel for it. But, Birdie is who she was, a person.
Yes, okay.
A really beautiful person.
Okay.
And read the book, and then you'll really get the feel. As a matter of fact, through the publisher, I'm working on a sequel to the book, which is kind of interesting to me, too, because I want to discover Birdie, too, and I want to find out, what was really inside of her. I don't want to know Birdie as to whether she was black or white or green or red or a native or whatnot. I want to know her as the person that she was, and I want everybody to know her as the person that she was. And I think by recognizing her and the people that she sort of hung around with and whatnot in those days, I think it'll make things better.
Well, I certainly applaud your effort and the cause. It's one that's been very near to me for several years now, that I've been wanting to bring this to the airwaves. And so now that we've started, let's keep it going. So CJMQ 88.9 FM.